back. Leave me alone. I'm busy farming. So what'd you think of those short videos? One was what this looked like before, and then the other video was what it looked like once I established my home market garden beds. A lot of work was involved. I didn't have the greatest germination rate. Some vegetables did better than others. The beets, Swiss chard, did really well. My broccoli, cauliflower's doing okay. Lettuce was probably the poorest performer. I have some collard greens which are doing okay. I've got basil. I have some butternut squash, zucchini, all doing well. I have some onions doing pretty good, and down at the far end is a, I think it's a mini butternut squash. So part of my market garden is growing fruits. You saw the video of me harvesting that rack of bananas. Almost took me right off the ladder. They're hanging up right now, and they should be ripening off pretty soon. I have some black Suriname cherry trees here. All of those were relocated from where they were prior, next to my tall birdies raised garden beds. They're transplanted here. I've done a lot of work just getting the garden set up to this stage. Now, one of the things you have to be mindful of as you convert this soil that was underneath is a very sandy soil. So now I've got my layer of compost, and it's going to take a while for these beds to be established from a nutrient standpoint. So as you go forward with this style of gardening, you'll get better and better results. Your soil becomes richer, and you'll have better yields with your vegetables. And I'm going to grab the camera and we'll talk a little bit more about each of the vegetables, just briefly, and about the bed, some of the concepts. We'll have more in future videos, and I'll just show you the food forest, the banana trees I've harvested from pups off of this banana tree, what I have to bring the pollinators around from marigolds, sweet almond trees, Turks hibiscus, red cap, and some fruit trees. So hold tight, let me grab the camera. We'll start off looking at my black Suriname cherry trees, and I just saw some fruit forming here this morning. Probably not going to see it now that I want to show you, but finally getting it to come to fruit. This was the original one that I had got from my friend Pete over at Sand Hill Farm in Spring Hill, Florida, also Green Dreams TV on YouTube. And the other ones I've started from seeds. Now, my market garden beds. They're 30 inches wide, and I went with a 14-inch path. I probably should have went a little bit wider. I had the space. But anyway, these are choices you get to make. These are beets here. They've done well. I've had almost 100% germination. I'm going to step over here. And over here is lettuce. And as you can see, I've got just a couple of heads that have come up. So I had 2 more rows right in front, one in the center of the bed and one on the outer edge. Didn't germinate. Back over here are zucchini. I started those back on October 5th. And we get back into more beets here. Again, you can see the germination rate. And just in case anybody's wondering, these are a Thai dwarf mulberry tree. They're all started from cuttings that I got off my other tree in the food forest. Now we get over to here, this bed. This is kale. I had a poor germination rate. I reseeded, and you could see we're finally starting to get, and I put down a lot of seeds. They were old seeds, and I didn't know if they would germinate or not, so I'm going to have to really thin that out. You could see everywhere that I replanted, so we'll have to see how those come along. Over here I've got some Swiss chard, almost 100% germination rate. And we come back over here and we get into the collard greens that I'm growing for my neighbor. Now, let's just take a second here to talk about the soil. And I don't want to spend too much time, but this is organic compost that is made from plant-based material that has been broken down. They turn it and you end up with a soil-like consistency that does have small pieces of, I'm going to say, bark, wood, twigs. And from there I amended it with an organic fertilizer. Okay, so up here, that's all broccoli, and further down I have cauliflower, and there's some basil right there. So these two beds are 40 feet long, the other two are 20 feet. So let's just walk down here. These are more collard greens and more kale. This is Swiss chard that's doing really well. Look at the colors there, all right? This is a beautiful variety of Swiss chard. I'm actually making a soup today, so I'm gonna get some of these leaves here. It's the best time to eat them. Over here, I've got some onions. And this is more lettuce. Didn't do well. I've replanted it with a different variety. I'm gonna step over this next one, and that's the beauty of a 30-inch wide bed. They're easy to step over. So I talked about the lettuce not doing well. This is a different variety of lettuce. It's starting to germinate. They were replanted maybe a week ago. And these are more beets. There's some fennel. This was originally lettuce. I had to replant it. Nothing germinated. And this here is that, I think it's called a baby butternut squash. So it's already starting to fruit. Okay, you can see right in there, we're starting to get some fruit. These are doing extremely well. This was all started from seed, direct sowed, just at the same time I did my beets. Doing really well. So this is a view of my market garden, home market garden. Now the sprinkler heads there and over there, those are called wobblers, and we'll talk more about that. I'm still trying to determine if I have enough heads. I might put one more. So a lot of vegetables. I had these seeds. So this is where I'm starting, right? This is a journey. These beds, I had to get them planted. I had to make some trips. My seedlings had failed. I was going to transplant, so I opted just to put the seeds directly in. And for the most part, it's doing well. Now I talk about wanting to grow fruits and vegetables. This is a Namwa banana tree. I got it when it was a small pup, again from Pete over at Sand Hill Farm in Spring Hill. This would be my second rack. I just harvested one. You saw that video earlier where I almost fell off the ladder. Now I have to cut down this, where is it here? Right there, where that rack of banana was. So I started cutting some of the leaves off, and I'll drop them around the base. I have two cassava, also known as Yucca, that I got from a neighbor. They were two small branches. I put them in the ground on a slight angle, and that's the size. So a tuber, much like a sweet potato, will grow. It's almost ready for harvest, so we'll have a video on that. Back here is my star fruit. There's another cassava plant here. That's my Mexican sunflower, which is used for chop and drop. That's high in nitrogen. I have some Greek oregano, started from seed. More Mexican sunflower. There's my large avocado. I'm going to top that so it doesn't shade out my market garden. This is, I have two types of spinach here. I believe that's a Brazilian, and this is a longevity spinach. And be careful of what you plant in your food forest. That's a cranberry hibiscus that's just taken over this whole area here. So I'm trying to thin it out and work my way in there. My longevity spinach has gone up my trellis, which I have some blackberries back there, and that's a white peach tree. We got some really good fruit off it earlier this year. There's the longevity spinach. This stuff is great. I would recommend everyone putting some of that in their garden. There's more Mexican sunflower, cranberry hibiscus. This is the red Turks Cap Hibiscus edible flower. This is my mulberry back in here. And one thing I do want to point out, the fruit trees are, they're grafted variety. So they're great for Zone 9B. That's what I like about shopping at Pete's Nursery. And there's my sweet almond, great for bringing the pollinators around. And there's another invasive species, I'm gonna say, pagoda. There's a banana tree I harvested from pups, and I have 2 more over there. These are cuttings off of the red Turks Cap Hibiscus and the cranberry. I'm going to pot those up here, and then I'll have plants to give away. This is a sweet potato. There's more zucchini, so folks that don't have an area to start a garden, container gardening works great. This is a marigold. I started from seed. Again, another great attractor for the pollinators. Rosemary, favorite herb to cook with. Always have lots of rosemary bushes. This is one I started from a single sprig, just like that. Got it to root, and if you're patient and trim it right, you'll end up with a rosemary bush like this. There's my rosemary bushes, and again, look at my home market garden beds. So more to come. Stacy brought me out a plant-based protein drink. We put a lot of bananas in here, so as soon as my Namwa bananas ripen, they're going in there. They're going in flourless banana oatmeal cookies. So I hope you have a little context of where I was before I established my home market garden and the direction I'm going between growing organic fruits and vegetables. The next video, I'm going to talk about what I did to establish these beds. So right down from removing the grass, loosening up the soil, putting in the compost and amending the compost with an organic fertilizer. We'll get into more informational context as far as how much organic compost I ordered, how much I actually used, and how much of the organic fertilizer per pound that I used on each of the 40-foot beds and each of the 20-foot beds. So as promised, there's going to be a lot of information going forward. So you're going to need to subscribe so you don't miss it, because now we're really going to get into where we're having some value to the content of this channel. So thanks for watching. I've got to get back to chopping and dropping my banana tree. That's the fertilizer. I'll do a video sometime on that, and just cleaning up the food forest a little bit. So we'll see you real soon with the next video. Thanks for watching.